You think Jalen Hurts? What's your take on Jalen Hurts? Do you think he has the chance to be an elite quarterback, or do you think still the jury's out on him?
I think the jury's out on him, but I'll say this. If Jalen Hurts is as good as Eagle fans hope he is, I think they're the team to beat in the NFC East.
You got to prove yourself when you're in this league, man. All right. Hey, and by the way, so I'm working on getting my boy Craig Carton over to practice. I'm waiting here to get back, and I'm waiting for Mario to text me back. I go like this. Make sure you do this, too. The equipment manager is going to bring his kid over there to the Miami Hurricane practice. Hey, Craig, I appreciate you doing this, man. It must be hot as Hades down there in Miami.
I'm actually sitting outside in a courtyard. I hope the background noise isn't too much for you. I know the last time I talked to you, I was outside of a bowling alley, and you could barely hear me. It is hot. It's hot. It's not hot. It's hot, but it's one of the great joys that dads have, I think, in life, and that's having the ability to move their kids into college. I know you and your daughter, I imagine you've experienced the same, and I'm down at the U.
That's fantastic, man. Hey, they've revamped that place, man. It's really I love the University of Miami. I took my daughter last year to college, and she's like, Dad, we have to move my bed in. And I'm like, okay, well, she's like, well, you have to carry everything. I'm like, holy Jesus, what? Bro, man, I sweat my baguettes off last year in Arizona moving my kid in.
Yeah.
Hey, is that what you're doing with your kids now?
Yeah, to move in. I'm the family builder, so I got everything together, and then I was supposed to be in her apartment for the internet guy to come, turn on the internet, and I got bored waiting, so my son and I went to get some Vietnamese food, and we missed the guy. So he's gonna have to come back tomorrow.
Hey, how about this, Craig? 2022 New York Jets will be what?
I think we'll be over 500. I can't put a number on it because that's silly anyway. But I think even with the Mekhi Becton injury, which is a huge injury, despite the fact that he essentially didn't play last year, him being healthy makes that offensive line legit. They've got no joke depth at wide receiver. They've got 2 tight ends. They've got depth at running back. So all of a sudden, you've got a young quarterback unproven with legitimate talent around him. And the Jets didn't have that last year. And I think obviously the better their offense is, the better their defense will be. And last year's defense was historically bad. But I don't know, maybe it's just the optimist in me. The New York Jets are going to be good. I mean, not winning a Super Bowl good, but I think they're going to be good. I think the kid's going to be good.
Robert Saleh, I'm not a believer. Make me a believer. Why is he the guy in New York?
Because bald guys are always better than non. Now, you know what? Here's what's interesting. There's an old thing in sports, I think, for fan bases, where do you win or lose a press conference? And I think he clearly won his introductory press conference. He had a lot of mistakes last year as a rookie, first-time head coach, on the sideline. But I think there's a belief in him. And I don't know why. Maybe it's the success in San Francisco. Maybe it's the way he carries himself. He appears to be an extraordinarily competent guy. Now, we've known a lot of competent football men who are great coordinators and lousy head coaches. And there's a huge difference between being a great position coach or coordinator and being the head guy. But, he'll be as good as his quarterback is. And I'm still a believer that the kid's got all that you need to be really good.
You have one of the coolest distinctions of any host on the East Coast. And before I get into the Gigantes, what's different talking sports in Philly versus talking sports in New York? What's different?
Conceptually, nothing. They're the same people. The biggest difference is that, and it's kind of getting in the weeds a little bit for when you're doing sports talk radio. If I'm in Philadelphia, I'm talking about the Eagles. Everybody loves the Eagles. I'm talking about the Phillies. They all love, et cetera, et cetera. When you're in New York, if I'm talking about the Jets, I'm alienating Giants fans. If I'm talking about the Giants, I'm alienating Jets fans. And that's the case for every single sport. So the trickery of sports talk radio in New York is how do you bridge the gap where Giant fans are upset that you're not talking exclusively about them. Right now, the New York Mets are the hottest team in baseball right now, but it's still a Yankee-dominated town, fan base-wise. So how do you navigate that successfully? And while it seems like it shouldn't be that hard, go with the team that's winning, it's not as easy as a lot of people might think. Whereas if I go to Boston, I'm a Patriot fan, a Celtics fan, a Bruin fan, etc. If I go to New York, I could be one of a lot of teams.
Hey, I said this. So Bart Scott asked me a couple of years ago. He goes like this: Sills, what's the difference talking? What do I have to do when I'm talking in New York? I go, bro, most important thing, you got to know the boroughs. And secondly, I don't want to hear anything about the Ravens. I don't want to hear anything about the Patriots. I don't want to hear about places in Baltimore you ate dinner at. Talk about Midtown. Talk about anything, but do not talk about He never got that. So it's a science talking sports in that town.
Yeah, like it's not brain surgery, but you have to know, like you do have to know what the listeners want to hear about and how to split up the amount of time you give to each. Like the worst host in my position can do at 2:00 is say, "Hey, Giants coming up at 4," because now the Giant fan goes, "I didn't got to listen to that show till 4:00." So you want to keep everyone in. A quick Bart Scott story because he's a dear, dear friend. I invited Bart to play in a celebrity softball game for charity. Now, here's a kid that grew up essentially just outside of Detroit, right?
Yeah.
All-American kid, great football player, self-made guy. And I go, Bart, you're going to play right center field. And he looks at me and he goes, where is it? I go, where is it? It's right over there. Play second base? Where that is either. The guy grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and never played baseball a day in his life.
He never watched or heard the Tigers or any of that stuff. That's crazy.
Like if I said to him, he knows now because I busted his chops.
Yeah.
If I said you're playing third base, he would have gone to third base and stood on top of it.
Craig, the Giants.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I can't remember a decade that has sucked so bad for them. Maybe back in the Joe Pisarcik days, you start talking like that. But, man, I'll tell you, new management, Brian Dable rolls in there. Like we were just talking, we know he's a great coordinator and what he did with Josh Allen. But, boy, I'll tell you what, man, those days of Jerry Reese and Tom Coughlin, man, you can wish those guys out of there. But they won a lot of ball games when they were together there. I mean, what do you look at this 2022 New York Giants team?
Yeah, there's sometimes, not all the time, where changes for change's sake. And for 25 years, the New York Giants were run by either Ernie Accorsi, George Young, or someone on that tree. They never varied from it. And after a quarter century, literally, of some great successes, Super Bowl wins, they got to the point where I think they had to come to terms with the fact that there's a new way of doing things. There's a new mindset of how to approach coaching and training and all the things that come with running a football team. And I think to their credit, they were very loyal to that young tree, all the different branches off of it. Even, they still used to go to Bill Parcells as of a couple of years ago for advice on things. So I think it was hard for them to get into this new era of NFL football. And they were smart. They went to a franchise that's had as much recent success without winning a Super Bowl as anybody. And I think they'll be better off for it. And, they're in a similar spot as the Jets, and that is, can the kid play quarterback? I think Daniel Jones is better than what most people think, but, this is it. You're either an NFL quarterback by this time of your life or you're not, and he's got one last shot to prove he is.
You think Jalen Hurts, what's your take on Jalen Hurts? Do you think he has the chance to be an elite quarterback, or do you think still the jury's out on him?
I think the jury's out on him, but I'll say this. If Jalen Hurts is as good as Eagle fans hope he is, I think they're the team to beat in the NFC East. I think right now on paper the Cowboys are, even though they've never been successful postseason with Dak, I still think they have overall the best team. But the one caveat to that is if Fields is legit, I think the Eagles are the team to beat.
Wow. That's fantastic, man. So What's your kids looking at me? Is this your second year for your boy going to Miami? There you go. Hey, man.
Third year.
This is your third year.
Yes, sir.
So are you a player yet down there with all the girls at the UM now?
We got to get a little bit going.
What's that?
Work too.
Okay, so listen here for you. Wait a minute. I want you to do a favor, okay? I'm going to send your pop an email with Len Weiner's number on it. You know who Len Weiner is? I'm sure your dad knows who he is.
I do not.
You do not? Okay. Len Weiner started ESPN Radio. He's the program director. I know your pop puts you on some shows on weekends at FAN, right? You've done it, right?
Yep.
All right. So I'll tell you what, screw your father. I'm going to send it to you, okay, on the DM, Len Weiner's cell phone number. You call him and you tell him you want to go over there. You need a job. You tell him Big Sil sent you.
That's the quickest way to be kicked out of the industry.
Hey, Craigie, when is your Fox show starting?
Not exactly sure yet, but soon.
Hey, Craig, stand by the phone, man. I'm working on getting you and your son over there to practice tomorrow, man.
Got 2 kids in Miami. My daughter's moved in. He goes in tomorrow. And even if not, I appreciate the love and the continued support. And you keep killing it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, Craig. Thank you, brother.
Be good.
You got it. That is Craig Carton. You see that, man? Fastest way out of the industry. Knowing Sileo. Thank you. Hey, your friend here at Morgan & Morgan. Don't forget, folks, do me a favor. If you're hurt or injured on the job, do me a favor. Call our friend, and he will take care of you. He's the biggest law firm in the country. Over 800 strong. 800 attorneys strong in offices in Philadelphia, New York, and in Florida. They will take care of you. I promise you. For the people, it's not a slogan. It is who they are. Call them at 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. Look, open 24/7, 7 days a week. Like I said, they're there for you. The consultation's free and the call is free. 800-512-1600. And when you call them, tell them Dan Sileo sent you.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. When you're hit from behind in a car crash, the insurance company may try to say, you can't possibly be hurt. It was only a few miles an hour. It's simply not true. You see, here's the thing. Getting hit at 10 miles per hour is like falling off of this. 15 miles per hour, like this. And only 25 miles per hour, this. Injured, dial pound law. There's only one Morgan & Morgan.